We in here. We in here. We in here.
And we're back with your low budget, probably the most aloof, mellow, and calm podcast you're going to hear over the next few weeks. The Draw for Squadcast with me, your girl, the moderator, Keen, and T.
Perfect attendance now.
You definitely, I don't know what they gave y'all for grades up here. Like either you get an S for satisfactory or an A.
For attendance.
Mm-hmm. Well,
I don't even remember.
Yeah, in North Carolina, we got A's. Like, I don't know, we may have gotten S's. Doesn't matter.
I got all them smiley faces in the attendance joint. Wait a minute.
I did not. Are we live?
Yeah, you missed the weekend. What do you mean?
Oh,
That's the question you answered.
You said, wait a minute. I'm like, wait a minute. Okay. I said it's private.
You thought I was checking. No.
I thought somebody was already commenting like, oh shit, y'all live. Like, oh, oops. Which might be cool to do a couple of times. Yeah, because then you can see people's comments and kind of respond to them in real time. Because we are kind of shitty at responding to comments.
I think you can see them. I don't know how we would see them live. See the comments live.
I don't know either.
Making sure
there is something to research. Yeah. Yep. So welcome everybody. It's just another calm edition, another reliable edition of Keem and T, because Lou does not think you guys, the listeners, are a priority and decided to go to a movie that's probably some old bullshit. And
a movie he didn't even probably want to see as of last week.
Right. He didn't even remember he had tickets until like 2:00 today. And
don't complain about us talking shit about you either. You said mention you, nigga.
Mentioning you, nigga.
We gonna mention you with the fire hand pointed at you. Like, you gonna catch all these flames.
Like, boy, if you don't get your unreliable Bobby Brown ass. And Ant is alive. That's all we can tell you. We don't know why he's not here.
It's the only good news of Ant's situation at the moment, I guess. We really don't know. We really don't know.
Not sure what the situation is. Just Ant ain't here.
Could be anything. Could be right. Alcohol coma at this point. It could be some good as daddy-daughter time. It could be buns. It could be anything.
Yeah.
It could be anything with Ant.
I'm going to say PTA night first. If it's not PTA night, I'm going to say hose.
I'm going to slide under hose, not literally. You don't let hose on top. And I'm going to say it's a secret date of some sort that he didn't want to talk about.
Yes, not with a hoe. Okay, yeah.
Not with a hoe, yes.
Yeah, I'm going to put those like side by side. Either it's a respectable date or it's not.
Right.
But so anyway, this is probably going to be fairly brief because it's me and T.
That's how we do. We go brief.
We're not the talkers of the group.
Nope.
But so tonight we are going to talk about a movie that the whole squad was supposed to watch. Don't know if that actually happened. Called Gerald's Game. So T, that was based off of a Stephen King novel, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so basically the premise of Gerald's Game is Gerald takes his wife, whose name I can't remember, up to this secluded lake house so that they can rekindle the flame in their marriage. And things go awry. Pretty
left
quickly.
as fuck. Yeah, they go left as fuck real quick.
So left.
Maybe not left. Maybe north. Let's say north.
South.
North and then south.
So can I say by the end of this movie, remember that GIF that Ant sent where it was T.I. snatching the chain off of Nunu. Like, I wish I could.
Reclaiming your time.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
how I
wish you
felt
could.
about this movie. Like, what the fuck did they just have me watch? I wish I could reclaim my time and snatch my chain back on this shit.
Really? It wasn't that long.
It was
But
long
still, it was longer than
enough.
20 minutes. You wanted...
That could have been a 30-minute movie, and I would have been okay with that because it was basically like one character. It was one scene for the most part, and then the rest of it was just really fucking disturbing. So, yeah.
I thought it was a play on Misery in a way, as far as the setting was concerned. I felt like it was very similar. Like Misery felt like it had one setting, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was a similar setting, a bed, and it was like same thing, like captivity type thing. I wouldn't be surprised, and I don't know because I don't research such things, but I wouldn't be surprised if he wrote this if it came after Misery.
It's possible. That's something to look up. That's something to research.
That's an
So,
ant question.
yeah. Or that's a Lou question. Lou would know that shit because he's
Lou
read
would
all
know
of
about
Stephen King's stuff.
Oh, he has. That's right.
Yeah. Yeah. So, when you
Lou.
listen to this,
Just
Lou, if
because
you
it
listen to
can't
this,
be shout out to Lou, it's got to have some negativity in it.
yeah. Fuck you, Lou.
'Cause I'm here.
Hashtag fuck you, Lou, in the comments section. I'm here for that.
Yep.
So, to the listeners, basically what happens in the movie is Gerald takes his wife up to this cabin, and she's thinking they're about to have like this sweet romantic weekend. So she puts on the satin nightie and puts on her little lipstick and sprays on her perfume, and she's trying to like lay seductively in the bed and look good for him. And this nigga Gerald busts out the bathroom in his boxers with some fucking fuzzy handcuffs.
Looking fit as fuck, by the way. Like, I was kind of hating, like, this old white nigga fit as hell.
Gerald did some crunches before that scene. He was like,
did.
no, like every muscle is going to pop. So he comes out with these handcuffs and he starts this role-playing scenario where he's an intruder and he basically wants to handcuff the wife to the bed, to the headboard, and then have her like scream for help and look scared and frightened and take advantage of her that way. And she was not with the shits. She was just like, no, this is uncomfortable. No.
She basically had that "fuck you mean" face
right.
as soon as he pulled him out.
And he just kept trying to go with it. Gerald was such a fucking prick. Like,
so are we at the point where he popped the Viagra before he came out? Like, I don't know how fast Viagra works, but what I know is if you can't take the Viagra pill in front of her, about some cuffs. Like, she might be about these cuffs, but I know she ain't about this blue pill.
Right.
Like, I don't know how that thought process was to hide the blue pill portion of it. She probably knew his heart wasn't shit, I guess. I don't know.
Maybe that was a pride thing.
Synopsis.
Like, because his whole thing was he wanted to overpower her and be in control and dominant. And maybe he didn't feel that he could feel 100% dominant if she saw that he couldn't get his own erection naturally.
But
and yeah,
I don't think women take it there first though, right?
I wouldn't think so.
Don't they really? Isn't it more of a what's wrong with me type shit first?
I have never experienced that issue.
I'm just saying in general. Like,
and I don't know anybody that has experienced that issue, or at least they haven't come and been like, yeah, he can't even get it up. He got to take these pills. What's wrong with me? I think once pills come into play, they definitely know it's probably not them. So they're over it. I'm assuming, like, if anybody's had, well, maybe that's not something you want to share in the comment section. If anybody wants to send a private email, please feel free to. Yeah, I don't
fucking know. Well, they sell Viagra type shit at the gas station and stuff. I mean, those are kind of supposed to kill you, but who's their target audience? I don't know. I don't want to make this about boner pills. But
Yeah. We don't want to boner shame. You get your stiffy however you can get it. Okay, as long as you're not harming anyone or
hot sauce in your anus.
if you
Probably
gotta
not a good.
put Tabasco in your anus, you go for it. Just don't give me that. Well, I don't even eat Tabasco, so it's not even a problem for me. But
You keep that bottle. You make that a personal bottle for yourself.
that bottle
You don't
stays,
share with anybody.
yeah, like that stays under the bed, and you keep it there.
In the pillowcase.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So we've segued. So Gerald is trying to overpower his wife and do this whole captive thing, and she's just like, she keeps saying no, and he's like trying to get into it, and he's like, "Oh yeah, you're really selling this," and she's like, "Nigga, no!" So she kicks him off of her, and so then he's just looking at her like, "What the fuck?" And he tries
Right.
to make her feel guilty about not wanting to do this with him because he's like, "Didn't we come up here to add a little spice to our marriage, and now you don't want to do this?" And she's like, "Yeah, but I wasn't thinking like this is what you're into. This is your thing. I wasn't thinking that this was how we were going to do it."
Here's
And
the
so,
problem with that.
mm,
How far the fuck was that place from where they live? There was no shit talking all the way up there. That's where he fucked up first.
I think their marriage was failing. So I don't think it was one of those things where shit was all good in every other aspect but their sex life. And so it's like, oh no, we going up here, it's going down. I think it was probably because she looked super timid when she had like when she was trying to like lay across the bed.
That's kind
So
of
I'm
more my
guessing
point. What was it? A quiet ass ride up there? Like they wasn't even talking?
probably not.
I mean, I'm sure he didn't say I'm gonna handcuff you to the bed, but
But those are conversations that you might need to have beforehand.
yeah.
I would think like
We know it's in Lou
especially
rules. Like we know it's
yeah,
in and we know it's in Lou's employee handbook before they even get to that point.
right. There's a
But
pre-meeting.
yeah, it's got to be a part of the pre-meeting. But I don't understand how they like they had so many problems once. Like the dick was almost out. Like that seems like it's pretty late in the game for there to be issues.
Mm-hmm.
Considering like they got to the point of nakedness already. Like how many arguments have you had like on the brink of fucking? Like it just seems like that it was a little late for that argument.
Like at that point, you're kind of laser focused. But I guess that would also speak to their problems because um, they probably weren't communicating the best. So there was no conversation of like, this is how I think that we should rekindle the fire versus this
I'd
is
be like,
how.
nah, it's too late, cause like the headache portion of your of your disclaimer, you're like you already reached that preface portion of this fucking. So after that, it shouldn't be no. I mean, I guess you can run into a couple of things during that would lead to someone saying, "No, fuck you, stop."
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but not between a husband and wife. So you're right. That speaks to their fucked up relationship.
Right. And I think the fact that this was something that he had never done before and he had never discussed as a fantasy or desire before threw her off
Mm-hmm.
because she had never seen this side. So for him to just like bust out of the bathroom, like if you're dealing with somebody and they just bust out of the bathroom with like handcuffs and a dildo, you might be like, what the fuck? If that's not something that y'all have discussed in the past. So
I kind of feel like she was faking though, because what white dude does not have a fantasy about handcuffs? Like, I just feel like that's probably their thing.
yeah, no, I don't. I disagree. I mean, maybe the
I,
handcuff thing. I don't. Maybe
yeah,
dudes in general have a handcuff fantasy, but do dudes in
mm,
general have a rape fantasy? Because that's what his fantasy
no.
was. It wasn't just handcuffing her; it was being an intruder and forcing himself on her while her husband wasn't home because he wanted
I
her to like scream for
actually,
help.
yeah, and I actually don't know what. Let's say this: I'm not surprised someone wrote a book and a movie about that for a guy because the porn categories that's out there would suggest that dudes are into some pretty sick shit. And that kind of thing, you don't see a lot of that, but it's definitely not below some of the stuff that I do see that these guys are into. Sorry, I'm watching the game. The Nationals just tied it up with a home run. Okay, sports in the Stephen King report. But no, you see a lot of incest shit. You see a lot of real life situations that would actually get you fucked up. I mean, the deuce you haven't seen too many bros pull up to the corner on the deuce and looking for a woman. Like, I just feel like oh shit. Kima? Oh, it's the T show in this bitch. I don't know what happened. Keep with. But all right. So I don't feel like keep going on that negative tangent. But if I go back into the synopsis at this point, Keem won't know where I'm at. So I'm just talking to y'all right now. I got questions. Why haven't y'all had more people subscribe? People say it's great. We love the show, blah, blah, blah. But we can't tell. We getting discouraged, y'all. Have friends subscribe. Right now, I think the number's at 24. Yeah, what happened, Keem?
My shit just cut the fuck off, and I was trying to like dial back in, but then I started panicking. And so when I was supposed to hit the join button, I hit the cancel button, and then had to go back to find the link and join back in. My bad.
So I wasn't talking shit to the audience, but let's just not edit any of that out because it was good shit. Because we still live, right?
Yeah, we're still live. I'll hear that in post, I guess.
I was just asking them why the fuck they don't have people subscribing because we here. Right. But I was just asking because everyone who listens says like, "Yo, you got a dope show." We heard compliments last night. We heard compliments when we were hanging out on Friday. We get compliments all the time about the shit, but I was, subscribers going up, so y'all not recommending it or something going on.
Right.
Just give us suggestions in the comment box of easier ways to listen or what the reason may be that you're not, that the subscribers isn't going up.
Word.
Cool. Back to Gerald's punk ass game.
Yes. Back to that. Sorry. Yeah. So we were talking about how fucked up the porn industry is as far as
I'm not surprised about like she should have been expecting that shit. Like they way too old and way too vanilla for that to be an issue of him pulling out. I didn't see a dildo though. He had a dildo?
No, I was saying that as shock value for you. Like if you're dealing with someone and everything has been kind of
if somebody, not even somebody at this point, but if New York pulls out handcuffs and then a dildo come out, I'm sorry. I love her to death, but she might get kicked in the face. I got to figure out how I'm getting out of this situation. That's not cool.
But see, that's what I'm saying. Because, you're like, at this point, that's not cool. So for the wife, at this point, that's not cool. They've been married for all these years. He's never even talked about having this kind of fetish. Yeah. And then out of nowhere, like...
She might be ticklish, too. Like, I'm low-key ticklish in a way. So I'm like, don't handcuff me to shit because I don't trust that you're not going to make a joke out of this situation.
And then end up getting kicked in the face.
Yeah, and I'm going to be to blame for that. And I never wanted to put my hands or feet on anybody. So that was kind of your fault. But anyway, let's get back to the synopsis.
Yes. So she kicks him off and he pulls this guilt trip on her. And then, she's kind of like, well, this is new to me. I didn't even realize you were into this kind of stuff. And, I'm just really here because I want to make our marriage work and I want us to be happy. And then instead of like having a dialogue about this, he goes right back into raper mode. Like, well, you can make me happy if you just, scream and and that. And so, then she's just like, I don't fucking believe you. And then they get into a kind of another little argument. And then Gerald has a heart attack and fucking dies. that's the end of Gerald in Gerald's game. So I don't even understand.
Not really. Not really the end. Because Gerald should, I mean, it would have been, she would have been perfectly happy with him just being dead at that point. Not happy, but she'd have been content with him just being dead. But this motherfucker kept popping up for the rest of the movie.
Like, hey, and not even being able to help. But so then this is where like the movie, well, at that point it had already gotten fucked up. Actually, it was already fucked up for me when she had put the steak down for the stray dog, and he was like, "What are you doing? Don't do that."
Like a Kobe beef steak or
This
some
is-
shit,
this
some
is-
high porter ass. I don't know
Right.
steak. I don't eat steak, but yeah.
Like, this steak is $200 a cut. Like, well, nigga, that's dumb on you, because it's all gonna taste like beef. But so I was already not a fan of his at that
That's some
point.
rude shit.
Right, it is. Um, and so then, you know, when he did this whole handcuff, try to force himself on her and try to like force her into doing something that she wasn't comfortable with, I was over Gerald. I was happy when Gerald had a heart attack and fell dead on the floor.
Damn.
Actually, no, he fell dead on her, and she had to kick him
him
off of her.
Yeah, that was a good. I mean, it was a decision. I don't know if it was a. Well, I don't know. What would you have done? The windows was open and shit.
I mean, what
He
else
could
could
have
she
had
do?
the key on her. He could have had the key on him though. But I guess she saw him put the key over there.
Yeah, and how do you? Yeah, because she saw him put the key down in the bathroom.
Would the
So-
rest of this story have been any better had she kept him on her for heat? Well, she didn't really get cold, so I guess not.
Because
And he's really not going to warm you up either because he's dead.
he's going to get colder and heavier and stiffer, and then that's going to be
push him off the bed.
Push him off the bed. So then she's in the fucked up situation of she's handcuffed to this bed, to the bed. There's nobody. There's no neighbors. The housekeepers are gone. The groundskeepers are gone. How the fuck is she supposed to get free? And then the dog that she tried to feed earlier in the movie, because for some reason
key to the law. He had a key to the cabin apparently.
he didn't have a key. Gerald never closed the fucking door.
Fucking Nationals, yo. 4-1 now. Sorry, it's game 5, guys. Y'all gotta understand, this is just gonna pop up during the show. Usually it's more people talking and y'all don't hear me cutting in. A lot of people have heard me cut.
I've heard you cutting in.
But fuck, 4-1. Okay, let's go.
Oh, multitasking ass.
Yeah, sorry. It's on mute though.
I'm happy for that. Thank you.
Right?
Yeah, so
the dog got a key to the lock to the cabin.
The dog didn't have a key. Gerald
through
didn't
the
close
window?
the door. Gerald didn't close the door. Like when they were outside and they were walking back in, and he was like, "No, just go ahead and leave the steak there. Maybe he'll come back and eat it at this point." And when they walked through the door,
what kind of shit is that? You don't close the door. You
the
don't
door
close
was wide
front
open.
Door?
He didn't close the front door, and she looked back at it, and then she didn't close the door. And I'm like, "Nigga, you see the door is open."
Every piece of this dog's fangs.
Everything that happened, yeah. So
he walking in that joint like, I don't mind if I do. Let me dabble in the
little Tony Baker voice, like, you about to feel every piece of these teeth.
Let me dabble. I don't mind if I do dabble in his face.
Gonna get me some of this lavish human meat.
This lavish Gerald face.
So the dog comes in and he sees dead ass Gerald on the floor and starts eating him. And so now she's trying to like shoo the dog away. That's just not working.
Half-heartedly.
She
half-heartedly was trying to shoo him away, like, no, don't do that.
I'm like, oh no, don't eat my husband. That's so wrong. Yeah, so then she's just kind of stuck there with the dog eating her husband. Actually, the dog, like, he took a piece and then went and chilled in the hallway, like, just so he could see what was happening. Like, he was waiting for her to die too, so he could eat some of her. And then I guess
he just want variety at that point, because there was a lot of Gerald left.
There was a lot of Gerald left, but he was like, "I'm gonna get this wrist meat." And then I'm gonna work on something else. I don't know. what preferences dogs have when it comes to eating people.
I think he wanted variety. Like he wanted the whole dollar menu.
Mhm.
I don't know. I don't know why he was going for arm, then he was going for face. He was like, yeah, face meat better. And then he was like licking her feet and was like, yeah.
Because she was fresher.
Well, I mean, he could also just like bitches, but
It's true. Or bitch feet.
bitch feet, yeah, bitch ass feet. But he, yeah, that dog. I don't know. Was it a wolf or a dog?
It was a dog. It was like a German Shepherd.
Okay, yeah, that dog
Yeah.
was just fucked up.
Yeah. Well, he was
Wasn't even
also
a skinny dog though.
he was straight and he was probably out in the woods eating deer and
Eating
shit
everything,
and rabbits.
yeah,
So yeah.
and rabbit
Um
deer.
so after a while, she's just kind of sitting there feeling sorry for herself, and Gerald pops up, and she's like, oh my gosh, thank God, you're okay. Get the key, unlock me." And he's looking at her like, "You were so fucking stupid.
Yeah,
I had a massive heart attack. You saw the dog take like a chunk of my arm out. How the fuck do you think I just popped back up
right.
miraculously?" So then she looks
Well,
down and she realizes Gerald's still dead. It's his ghost, or what she
right,
is imagining to be his ghost.
right.
And so then they have like all of this back and forth, and then all of us, she like in her mind, she thinks that she like squeezes out of the handcuffs and starts running for the door, and then she realizes that like I guess the subconscious version of her has now popped up, and so
Right, right. She was
yeah,
tripping balls, and I don't
hard.
understand why.
Well, yeah, because it wasn't even like she had been handcuffed to the bed for that long.
Yeah, where did this ball tripping come from?
It seemed like a legit 2 hours, and she was already thirsty and hallucinating.
Right. Conveniently, they put the water on top of the headboard.
Right. So,
Like, what? Who puts water there?
yeah, that was weird, especially if you're about to like bone.
Well, he needed a Viagra pill, so and he probably wasn't confident at the fucking that was going to happen, so he knew that water wasn't going to fall.
Like the water we found, it's gonna stay where it is.
I ain't
It
putting
won't
water
budge
on
an
my
inch.
headboard.
No, that's
I'm
not.
looking at the nightstands like I ain't got nothing that's gonna fall off, dude. Like, I mean, I don't know. Maybe he wanted to finally make love to her and thought it was gonna be some soft shit. I just don't know why there was water on
He
the
didn't think it was
headboard.
going to be some soft shit if he was handcuffing her and saying "scream for help" because your husband can't hear you. He
Well,
was
maybe
trying
she
to
likes it rough and he likes it softer, so he was trying to tame her and
look.
let
You are not going to sit here and make excuses for Gerald's fuckboy ass, okay? Because he was a whole ass fuckboy.
why?
And really,
Yeah, why was Gerald a fuck boy?
Gerald was a fuckboy because even after his wife said, "I'm not comfortable with this," he was still trying to push himself on her. And he probably knew he had some fucking heart problems. And he took
I
that
don't think
damn
he knew he had
Viagra.
heart problems. I
At
don't
the
think
end
he
of the
did
movie,
because
they
he
said
looked.
he died from a massive heart attack, which was long overdue.
Oh, he probably sniffed coke. That's some shit he do. That's probably why he was so in shape too.
Yeah, probably.
Sniffing
Yeah.
coke and
So
ruining black people's lives during
ruining
the
his wife's life.
weekdays. Yeah.
Oh fuck. So what we end up finding out through the course of the movie and all of these like spectral beings talking is that the wife at one point in her life, and this was so fucked up. Like she wasn't how do you frame this? Like she had this experience with her dad during a solar eclipse where she was sitting on her dad's
Yeah.
lap
Yeah,
watching an
her dad
eclipse,
was a fucking
and her dad started jacking off behind her and was just like, just keep looking forward, and that like fucked her up.
couple things.
Yeah.
A, don't know how that's possible. B, um it's so fucked up. Like it's fucked up beyond belief to
It
where it's like I mean, only Stephen King could write that shit in there because he always has some questionable shit in his books.
Stephen King
Um,
has a problem. I'm
he
just gonna say
does.
it. I don't know what what the
He
problem is,
does.
but that nigga is way too like
You've
child
seen him though, right?
sex-ish. Yeah, I've seen him.
So who will be shocked?
Something ain't right with that man.
Stephen King doesn't look like he's from this planet.
And he might
And
not be.
maybe where he's from, child pornography is okay.
Yeah. Like, well, it's not okay on Earth, Steven. So get your shit together.
He's also from Maine, right? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Somebody may listen from Maine. I just don't know what happens up there. It seems like another place.
They
Like
got lobster. That's
that's what
all I
they're
know.
known for. That's what
That's
they're
the
known
only
for.
reason I really want to go is to try Maine lobster.
Or to see where 95 ends.
I don't even really care about that. I just
Maine
give me
and
some
Miami.
lobster. Yeah. So then she kind of has to reconcile within her mind this thing that happened to her and then rally herself to get free.
Wait,
Which
so it was
she
all the way fucked up though, because her dad not only did that, and it sounds weird, like her dad not only did that, he made her feel guilty about it.
right.
Like, oh, you don't want me and your mom to split up by you telling, like, I guess normal pedophile-ish when it's within the family type shit that
Normal
happens.
pedophile stuff. Yeah, like, no, we should tell her. I should be the one to tell her, but it's probably going to break up the family. And I'm sure she won't blame you, but she could blame you. And it's definitely
Right,
going to break up the family. And she's pregnant, so this could kill her. But it's okay. I'll tell her.
right,
Don't worry. Um,
right.
so yeah,
Her
she
dad was a
basically
dick.
carried that weight around with her for the rest of her life. Which also I guess would speak to why it's so weird when all of a sudden your husband out of nowhere wants to like do this whole intruder rape role play.
Yeah, yeah, and maybe a lot of the issues they were having was probably because she was not necessarily molested, because it didn't go further than that, right? But he just kept making her feel
Right,
way about it.
right.
It wasn't another situation, right? It was just that.
Yeah, another situation wasn't referenced, so I'm guessing it was just that one situation. But
Right.
when your dad pulls out his dick and nuts on your back, I
Yeah, that's
feel like
enough.
that's
That's
enough.
enough. That's
Like
a
that's
lot.
enough
That's
to like mess
quite
you
a
up.
bit. It is, but I was saying that before I went further. I mean that was probably why she wasn't as open to shit as he wanted her to be.
Right.
Not only just in that situation, but in previous situations, and why he probably felt the relationship was so vanilla and this. I mean, I've experienced that. I've been with people who have been, molested at some point in time, and it affects them in a negative way, in which they, have repressed things, and people need to seek
Mm-hmm.
help. And apparently, she never seeked help for
Well,
it,
not only
or
did she
did
not
she?
seek help, but she never told because she was like, I'll never tell. And she never did.
I mean, what was she still worried about the divorce at that point? Like,
I, it's just guilt, I guess. Like, and then I guess after a certain point, maybe in her mind, it's like, well, why even bring it up now?
yeah,
But that's why like her inner child or her inner being was like stuck in that one moment of the eclipse, and
yeah,
like she couldn't
yeah.
move forward from that.
And her
But
inner person, her ghost of sorts, was more brave than she was. Like
mm-hmm.
she was kind of still the little girl who was scared and afraid, and her ghost was like the person she probably should have been by this point had
She should
she
have grown to
seeked
be.
help. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but her inner person basically convinces her to get it together and figure out how to make it out. So she finally gets free of the handcuffs. She
Hold
passes
up,
out a couple of times. Oh,
hold up.
uh-huh.
How did she get free of the handcuffs? This chick
Yeah.
takes the glass of water that we were talking about earlier that's on top of the headboard. So, okay, to give the scene, she is laying in a slip with her legs. She's just sitting down, basically. No, she's sitting kind of laying on the bed.
She's laying on her back, yeah, propped up by
And
pillows.
yeah, and as you would think, her left hand is tied to one bedpost on the headboard, and her right is to the other bedpost on the headboard. So on top of the headboard there's some ledge, and her glass of water is there. So she has some memory of, what was the memory, Keem, of
Um,
slippery?
what
Something
the
happened
memory?
to her when she was a kid, when she cut her hand on something,
Oh
and they were
yeah,
like,
and
"What
how
were you doing?" I think it was a
blood
cut.
is slippery.
Oh, her dad. She was like, her mom and her whole family was at the
That's right.
and she kind of shit. Sorry, the game. She had this memory of her dad saying something, and she crushed the glass in her hand while she was sitting there, and everybody was like, "What the fuck?" And then she couldn't say anything because she was just upset with something that the dad was doing or saying. I felt like it was a moment in which she was jealous because of the dad, though. Like, I
Yeah,
can't
it was because of the
remember.
dad, because it was right after they had the talk, and then they went downstairs to have dinner, and the dad's like, "Nope, everything's fine, right, Jane or whatever her name was," and she's just sitting there
That's what it
like,
was.
yeah, and so just kind of in that moment of shock that he flipped so quickly and was like, "Nope, everything's good, everything's honky dory," and
Yeah.
she crushed the glass in her hand. So from that, she has a memory of how slippery and slick blood is.
Right, right. So she moves the glass of water. Actually, the glass of water had already been moved to her right, um, and she was taking sips of it, but not drinking all of it because it was the only bit of water she was going to get. Um, and Keem, are we skipping way too far ahead at this point, though?
Well, I didn't
And
want to
we
go through the
have the
movie like
image.
in real time, scene by scene, because people might actually want to sit down and watch it for themselves. So,
Fuck them. It's in the thing. Uh, everybody on this subscriber list has seen Gerald's game. If they haven't, I told them to watch it already.
cool.
But okay, no. So one of the big things that I want to at least mention before she gets out is when it got dark. For one, the dog is kind of a threat at this point, right?
Mm-hmm.
But she probably the best scene in the movie for me, and was kind of the turnaround point in the movie, like climax of the movie, is when it's dark as shit one night. The first night that she's trapped, and it's dark in the room, and the windows are open. She sees like this image in the corner of the room.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is before she got out. So she sees this image in the corner of the room, and I just happened to pause my TV at the same time that that was happening. So my screen was at the part where she was in the corner. She was looking in the corner, and I couldn't see the image sitting when I paused it. So I got up to go to the bathroom, and I came back. And before I even knew that something was in the corner, I was like, what the fuck is that in the corner? Like, I'm looking at my screen, is because at certain angles that you look at your screen, you can see it. And at other angles, you can't because it hadn't
Uh,
focused on it yet. So I'm like, I'm tripping. It looked like it's something in that corner. So then I hit play, and then she starts seeing something in that corner. The corner was this big ass dude that looked like some ghoulish creature that had what was it, bones and shit in his bag. He had like a
mm-hmm.
fanny pack or something. It was like some little some clutch or of some sort. He had like a bunch of bones in there, and I thought it was jewelry at first,
It
but
may have been jewelry.
I thought it was jewelry. And he just kind of came up to her and was like, "You got something to contribute to this shit? No? Okay, I'll holler at you tomorrow. You better have something tomorrow." In a way, he didn't say anything, but that was kind of his looks. But anyway, she didn't want to see that shit again, so she was like, "I gotta get out of here because I
Yeah,
got the dog and I got this ghostly nigga."
I don't know how I missed that part, but like
You didn't see that dude?
I no, I didn't see the dude. I remember her, like I remember Gerald's ghost basically being like, oh yeah, there's somebody in here, and
So
then
you missed that part then, because that was
yeah,
after that.
oh yeah, no, I missed that. No, that was at the end. I thought that was at the end when
That
she
Gerald said
finally
that?
saw the no when she finally saw the big dude. It was
Oh
at the
no,
end.
no, he made an
Oh,
appearance.
I'll have to
That's
go
when the
back
movie
and,
went
and watch
left as
that
fuck.
scene.
Everybody was like when everyone's talking about the scene of the movie, that was when that shit happened. When dude was in the when people were okay. So in the Netflix group I'm in, on Facebook, they talk about the scene of Gerald's game, and the scene is one of two. It's that, or it's the eclipse.
Ah, okay. I'll go
And
back
mostly I
and
think it's
rewatch
the
that.
eclipse. But yeah, it's that part. The windows are open. It's the first night, and then something's in the corner. He came out that night and showed her his little clutch and had shit in there and was like kind of looking at her, and then he disappeared. Um, so yeah, she didn't want to see that again. That's why she was like, "I gotta get out today," basically. And Gerald was like, "You know what's coming at night, so you know he's coming back." He wasn't just talking about the dog; he was talking about dude also.
The dude. Okay,
Yeah.
that makes sense. Yeah. So she basically devises this plan that she's going to break the glass and slit her wrist because once her wrist is slit, she'll start bleeding and then she'll be able to slide her hand out of the handcuffs because it'll be so slick. And her plan works. But I had a question about that. Like if you cut your wrist on the top of your wrist instead of the bottom, instead of the underside, wouldn't you still bleed? Like, did you have to cut the main veins on the bottom of your wrist to get that much blood? Because she not just cut her hand and let that shit drip down?
I think if it was at the bottom, it would be below the handcuffs. Right? Like, I feel like she had to cut above the handcuffs.
Well, what I'm saying is, like, so, you know, the palm of your hand.
Yep.
If you're looking at the palm of your hand and you,
Right.
you know, move your view down a little bit, that's where she cut. It was like below the palm of her hand. What I'm saying is, if you look at the back of your hand and you cut the back of your wrist as opposed to the underside.
Oh, the back of the wrist.
Yeah, like why cut your major veins like that? Because you know there's a possibility that you could bleed out and die because you just slit your wrist. Like
she almost died a few times after that, but
right, yeah, she was woozy as fuck.
I don't know why I feel like the top of the wrist wouldn't bleed that much. There's
I
no
don't know.
veins really up there. I mean, we won't know. We won't ever know. But
yeah,
yeah,
these are just the things that were coming in my mind. Like, maybe you cut the top of your wrist or you cut your hand.
I
Whatever.
thought she should have cut her hand the same way that she did the first time. I cut my hand before trying to separate two beef patties with a butcher's knife when I was in North Carolina, and it bled for like the rest of the night.
Fuck.
So I didn't bleed that much like hers did when it was the wrist. So maybe that was the point, I guess. But I don't know. Stephen King weird.
Yeah. So she gets free. She has to break off the other bedpost to get her other arm free. She gets the handcuffs. She passes out. Then she wakes up and she wakes up to the dog. No, she wakes up and runs out a little bit. Then she passes out again. Then she wakes up again and the dog is like biting her because he's like, this bitch is like free range bitch. So he's like, he's biting her and she shoos him off. And then he goes and starts growling at something in the corner and then starts whimpering and runs away. That's the point where I was like, oh, that's not good. That's not a good sign. So she,
See, I was okay with that part because I already was creeped out by him the first time.
because you already saw it. I didn't see it. So I'm just like, no, bitch, you need to find a knife or something because that doesn't seem safe. But she gets up and starts to make her way towards the door. And that's when she sees the big, creepy Nosferatu-looking dude again. And
I don't know what that is, but I'll take your word for it.
I'll send you a picture later.
Okay.
So she looks at him and she gives him her wedding ring, and then she pieces out. And then she starts driving, but she's still woozy, so she ends up crashing, and people find her.
Right.
And then like she does the little voiceover of, "I survived, but I have to wear this compression glove." Gerald did in fact have a heart attack. The doctor
looking like
DJ
Paul.
The doctor said he was long overdue for it. And then you find out that the money that she got from his insurance, she started a not-for-profit to help people who were victims of sexual abuse.
Hey,
and
question.
Now,
what's the difference between a not-for-profit and a non-profit?
They're not the same thing?
I don't know. People used to say non-profit all the time, but I guess you got to say organization after you say that. That's too many words. Yeah. So people just say not-for-profit.
Not-for-profit, yeah.
Okay, cool. I just started hearing that shit.
Yeah, so then, she reveals that she now tells her story of abuse to everyone. She tells it every day to different people who are in that situation. And then she goes to the court. Like they catch Nosferatu. So she finds out that he was
That
real.
nigga name. Yeah.
They catch him. She goes, and this was the dumbest scene in the movie to me. She goes to the court. She sashays in her funky new dress. She goes past the point where,
She should
the
have been
audience is
allowed.
supposed to be. Right.
Yeah.
She looks at him and says,
I'm
you
sorry.
were
We
much.
got white people who listen, and I love you guys, but that was definitely white privilege.
Yeah, because if that had been Shaquana and John Tavius, like Shaquana would have walked. She wouldn't have gotten that far. She would have been tackled.
We got
at
RKO'd
best.
out of nowhere from the stenographer.
Right.
The stenographer would have caught us with the RKO.
Oh, somebody would have swept the leg, and she would have
Mhm.
been out. But she walks up to Nosferatu and she's like, "You're smaller than I thought."
Right.
And then he looks at her and says, "You're real." And then she turns around and walks away. What the
Wait,
fuck?
he said that? You're real?
Yeah. He was like, "Oh, you're real. You're real." And
Oh, he must have been having her in his dreams all them times.
then he
Yeah.
broke his little handcuffs and they had to tackle him.
Fuck.
And then she walked out.
Yeah, he was like, you guys know I'm in these handcuffs just because I want to
Right.
be on some Hancock shit. Like,
Yeah.
not
because I need.
wait,
Not because
was that Gerald? Because the nigga obviously loved handcuffs. Fuck. So now I'm gonna have to go on YouTube and look up Gerald's game ending explained, just like I had to do Babadook.
I got the Babadook, but this one.
I got it after I went to YouTube. That's the only time I got it.
Yeah, no. After I watched it and then I was like, was that an allegory for depression? Because that's what that. Okay, cool, whatever. Yeah, but this just felt like an
Smart.
absolute waste of time for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know, Kim. You've been pretty judgmental on shows and movies as of late. I think you're feeling more what's the term? I'm more satisfied with life. to where art fuck this art. Life is good right now. This art needs to improve.
Life is better
This
than this
art
fucking
need to-
TV show.
Right. This TV show need to catch up with life.
No.
So now you're starting to analyze shit like we be analyzing it. God damn it, Nationals. Get your shit together. Sorry, guys.
It was going well for a minute.
Now it's 3-4.
Yeah, no, there's just certain things that I like, and this movie disturbed me, and not in a chilling way. Like it was just more like, what the fuck did I just watch?
You know
Why
what?
did I just sit here and watch this? This was an hour and a half that I could have been binge
You're right.
watching something else.
You're right. Because at the end of the day, it was some fucked up shit that happened in that movie.
Right.
Like, as
right.
I'm watching it, it wasn't that long. It was definitely not as bad as other shit I've seen on Netflix. I feel like the quality of shit on Netflix adjusts my acceptance of what I watch. Because for you feel like it's free. I didn't go to the movies and watch this shit. I didn't have to drive. I didn't pay for parking. I ain't do none of that shit. So it's I definitely could have did worse. It's like settling. It's like taking one for the team in a way when I see such things. But no, you're right. It was some fucked up shit that happened in that movie that seemed really unnecessary.
It was just disturbing, and I didn't.
The dad jerking off, looking at the eclipse shit was unnecessary.
But he wasn't even looking at the eclipse. He was looking at her shoulder. Like, he got turned on by his daughter's shoulder and then just could not contain himself anymore.
That nigga had that plan to jerk off as soon as he handed her that box.
Yeah, and he was like, "Why don't you come sit on my lap? Or are you too old for that?" And I was like, "No, little girl, don't sit on his lap. I don't like the way."
Felt the creepiness coming the whole time.
Like, his tone of voice is wrong. It's all wrong. So
yeah, it was unnecessary for the story though. Like, I don't know. I mean, no, I guess it wasn't. It kind of added to the fact of why she wasn't into being handcuffed. But I feel like there's regular. Not to say that they're irregular, but I feel like there's someone who hasn't been through that type of trauma who's also not into being handcuffed
Right.
by a nigga who feel like he has to handcuff you and take a blue pill to get it out.
Right. Well, and it's not even. I don't think it's the handcuff thing. It's the fact that
he didn't just go like with the I'm pleasuring you type thing. Once he handcuffed her, he was more on.
Right. He was more on the rape thing and the intruder thing. Like, no, dude, that's creepy. Don't do that.
But they're also married, and she never told him about that.
Right. She never told anybody, but he also never told her about his rape fantasy. And maybe if he had maybe she wouldn't have shared with him her eclipse situation, but maybe she would have been like, no, I don't like that. Like, that makes me feel uncomfortable. I don't want to do that.
Because I almost said something fucked up. I don't necessarily think people have rapey thoughts naturally, but I believe in the bedroom people make jokes. I just don't think they're on a complete tone of rape and as creepy as he was with it. But he was kind of a creep though, so I don't know.
Yeah, he was definitely a creep, and I think he just made me mad. I just really wanted to kick him in the face.
Okay, so we won't spend too much more time on it, but handcuffs, right?
Right.
Handcuffs is kind of rapey anyway. Not in a you don't want to take it way, but like that is kind of, I don't know. Every time anyone's ever mentioned handcuffs or whatever the case may be with something like restraints of some sort, it's been about taking it and taking it in the way that I want to take it. I have not participated, so I don't know. But as far as I know about such things, it seems to have always been about control of one person, complete domination over the other. So maybe if she wasn't, maybe if she didn't have that situation with her dad, it wouldn't have been as creepy.
No, I'm going to say it still would have been, as somebody whose dad is the best daddy in the world and never had those kind of issues. I'm going to say, no, that still would have been creepy, and that still would have been unsettling. And I think there's a difference between.
Watch that part again. I didn't get a rapey vibe from him.
He actually said, your husband isn't home. Nobody can hear you scream, yell help, yell it louder, yell it louder. And she's like,
I don't get rapey from that though.
Of yell help? Why else are you yelling help when he's like, your husband isn't here, he can't save you? That's
role playing. But I don't role play. I don't think it's necessarily role playing rape per se.
He was role playing rape. Like, he's like,
see, that's what I'm saying.
I broke in.
I think there's a fine line between that and domination of some sort.
There's a difference. Like, there's a difference between domination. Like, okay, and this would be perfect for Ant. It would be. See, you're missing out on this, Ant. You're missing out on this. So I think there's like, you have like your dominant submissive roles, but the submissive person, they've already agreed, like they've already given you control. Whereas he's like, no, I want you to squirm. I want you to fight a little bit. I want you to scream for help. That was him like wanting to dominate her and take it from her versus I'm submitting to you and I'm letting you do this to me because this is how we get off together, in my opinion. Right. So that's the difference. I don't always think that handcuffs are a submissive thing. Like, sometimes it's just like, I want to be able to pleasure you without you stopping me. I could be wrong on this.
I think you're wrong on this, King.
That's my theory. That's the way I've always heard it explained. Like, it's just, like you can do different things to them, and like they can't get away from you or stop you.
I mean,
and it still sounds rapey. I was
going to say that still feels kind of rapey though, King. Like I think I don't know.
Yeah,
it's a
Like, let's move on. Let's move on.
Yeah, you guys comment and let us know what you
We've
think
talked about this
that.
for a good hour, like 30
Yeah,
minutes
so
longer
you
than I expected
guys
us to talk about it. But
toss in on that.
yeah, and I'm sure Ant will school us on like, no, you both had it wrong. This is what's supposed to happen.
We'll have a tangent conversation on handcuffs, I guess.
Maybe. Yeah,
The
we'll see.
difference between the difference between handcuffing and domination and rapey.
Yeah, it was just a shit movie for me. Like, it just made me feel so uncomfortable and so angry. And I will fast forward to the part with the creepy dude in the corner just so I can
Yeah.
see that. But other than that,
See, I
I'm
think that
never gonna
part
watch it
makes or
again.
breaks the whole movie based on how you felt about that part. Because I got a domination vibe from it, so it wasn't uncomfortable. It
Mm-hmm.
didn't seem uncomfortable, but you got a rapey vibe from it, which is a very fine line between the two, and you're like, "Fuck this movie"
Yeah.
from that point. But the movie
Rewatch
did
that
get
scene
rapey though.
again. Yeah. Yeah. So
It still got rapey even after
so
that. Thanks,
yeah.
Stephen King.
Thanks for making it weird. Okay, so with Halloween coming up, we thought it would be interesting for all four of us to talk about any creepy, ghostly moments that we've personally experienced.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of remember Ant saying that he had a moment, but again,
Mm-hmm.
he's not here.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember Lou saying on the weekend recap about one of the sites that he manages, like there's a park where nobody can go into because the temperature drops and all that stuff.
Right.
But he's not here. So I guess it's just me and you talking about any ghastly experiences, like any haunted experiences we've had.
Right. Yoinks and shit.
Right.
Cool. So let me start.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. So I've had one actual experience and one creep out because I watch tons of horror movies and that's like my main
Right.
genre.
Right.
My favorite genre that I watch is horror movies, especially on ghosts and shit. So favorite field. So when I was a kid, I was staying over my brother's grandmother's house, and his uncle had just bought a house with his roommate. He had a roommate, one of his friends. So they had just bought a house in DC. So DC always got a bunch of houses around each other. It's not much open space kind of a thing.
Mm-hmm.
So this house was a big ass house. And shit happened just like the real movies. Like someone buys a big ass house that they shouldn't have been able to get. And I don't know his finances, so we couldn't say he shouldn't have been able to get it. But he had a roommate, and them two was the only two in his house. They didn't have family, anything like that. It was just them two. Like, why they bought this big ass house? So I don't know if they bought it or was renting it. I imagine they was renting it based on the end of this story. So he bought this house in DC. I want to say it was northeast, but I could be off. And there was one house to the right, a little distance to the right of it. If you're looking at the house, it's a little distance to the left, and then there was a
Mm-hmm.
house immediately to its right, not attached, but like a yard over to the right. And then across the street from there, nothing. It was like it used to be woods, but they cleared it for a development of some sort, or it was a big ass field at some point. And based on the story, it might have been a graveyard. I don't know, but house. When you pull up to the house, it's like a little bit of a walkway to the front door. Front door got like a little canopy kind of thing over it, like a front entrance kind of thing. It's not a porch. It's just like a stoop, and then you go into the house. So there's
Got
like
it.
a living room to the left or something like that, and there's another living room to the right. You walk through that living room, you got two options. You can go on the left side of this wall, down the short hallway to some stairs that go down to the basement, or you can go to the right side of that wall and you can go up the stairs to the rest of the house.
Mm-hmm.
So that wall is one wall of the kitchen. That kitchen has
Okay.
sides. So if you had chose to go left, you can walk through the kitchen that way. If you chose to go right, you can still walk through the kitchen that way. So the kitchen is basically open on both sides.
Cool.
So anyway, there's these wooden stairs behind the kitchen that goes up to the upstairs of the house. I never saw the upstairs of the house because I didn't make it too far into this house. So we pulled up to the house. We had already heard stories about the house. So the stories that we heard about the house was, I have no idea why the fuck we went over there because we had already heard these stories. But his uncle was complaining that in the mornings sometimes, they had only been there a week, I think. In the mornings, he would wake up, just could not get out of bed, laying on his stomach or laying on his back. He could not get out of his bed no matter how he went to sleep. And he was like, he would try to get up and it would take him like 30 minutes to get up, 40 minutes to get up. It's not because he's hitting the snooze button like me for an hour and a half. He just, he's physically trying to get up and can't. Feels like something's sitting on his chest. Like there's a weight on him. Okay. Yeah, he feels a pressure on his chest or a pressure on his back to where he cannot get up. And so he's like, he tried, he couldn't get up. There was no feeling he ever felt like that in his life. So I was like, all right, that's weird as shit. Maybe it could have been something else. I don't know. I was too young to think of any type of excuse. I still don't know what it could have been.
You know what it was.
His room, he lived on the bottom floor. There was a bedroom on the bottom floor. On the top floor, his roommate lived. His roommate's a heavier guy, tall guy, fit type dude, but just a heavy dude. So his roommate lived on the top floor, and he would complain that whenever he got close to the edge of the stairs at the top of the flight of stairs, it felt like it was something trying to push him down the stairs.
And we would have to switch floors.
Right. He was like, it's not that the stairs are sloped. There's nothing wrong with the stairs, but there was like a physical force that felt like it was pushing him. He would feel like hands on the small of his back every time he got to the edge of the stairs.
Nope.
Like, that was bothering him, blah, blah, blah. So I got to this house, right? And this was right around the time, no, this was before, I think. What's the I See Dead People movie?
The Sixth Sense?
This is before The Sixth Sense came out, right? So I went to the house and I'm creeping in the house. I'm like maybe 9 years old. I'm creeping in the house and I'm like, I'm not really fucking with this house like that. So the house with sage, trying to bless the house and all this shit, like trying to, because they're really religious, but like on a different type of tip. And the preacher is on his way over there. But isn't there yet. So I'm peeking out the window, seeing the preacher there yet. Nope, not there yet. So I'm just I made the cardinal mistake of separating from the group, and I stayed downstairs because I'm like, I ain't gonna lay down. Nobody gonna lay on my back. But I'm definitely not going up them fucking stairs. So I'm like, I'm not going up them stairs. I'm not doing it. So because if he's trying to push whatever that thing is trying to push his big ass down the stairs, he gonna fling my ass like way down there. I'm tiny. I was tiny at the point. So I'm in the kitchen, right? Thinking like, all right, the kitchen's cool. It's not as creepy as the rest of this house. But the kitchen got 2 entrances to it. So I'm like, it's got the left side and the right side. So I'm trying to put my back to the wall where I can see both sides because I keep hearing something like it's coming up from the basement. I want to completely turn my back to the stairs because I know about the stairs because I go upstairs.
Smart.
So I'm like just pressed up against that thing, and I'm like, I keep hearing something, and then like I heard like some steps, like some like a creak in the wood floor near the top of the stairs to the basement, which is right around the corner from the kitchen. So I was like, yo, anybody in the basement? Here. I'm like, nope. I went out the other entrance. I sat on the fucking curb for the rest of the time they were there until the preacher got there. I was like, nope, I'm not dealing with this. So, and then so that was the end of my experience there, and I don't remember talking to anybody else for another. And then one of my good friends who was around at that time, we talked about this like maybe
Mm-hmm.
two years ago, and she said she remembers her mom took them over there right around that same time period, and they pulled up to the house and looked at the house, and the mom wouldn't go in. She was like, "No, we're not going in there." Or the mom was about to go in there, and then all her and her sister was like, "No, no, let's not go in there." They hadn't heard any of the stories prior to.
Hmm.
They had no stories, but they were looking at the house, and they saw a dark figure. It was daytime. They saw a dark figure behind the curtains, like in the curtains, in the window, between the window and the curtains. A woman staring out at them. And it had like she was like it had like glowing type eyes, and it would go from one window to the other. They would see this dark figure, and then like they were like the door started creeping open, and she was like, "Mom, pull off, pull off, pull off." So she was like, they never went in that house, but that was before the house was blessed. So dude ended up moving to Seattle. He left that house and moved to Seattle from here. He was like, "Nope, I ain't fucking with the whole country. I'm gonna go to the other side of the country. I ain't dealing with this shit."
And that's why Black people can't have horror movies.
Yep, it'd be over so quick, so quick.
What's that noise? I'll be outside. Like
Right,
that's it.
right. But I don't have another story past that. But I'll tell you when I bought my first house with my ex, um, this house had issues. It was a newer townhouse, but it was like the plumbing and everything was good in it, except like when you would flush the toilet on the second floor, you would hear dripping between the floors. Between the second floor and the second floor and the first floor ceiling, you would hear like dripping. So it could have been a plumbing thing there. So we were like, all right, whatever. The stairs were all short, so I would fall down them stairs constantly, right? I would fall down them constantly. Like, I'm serious. I cracked my back on them stairs.
Oh,
I fell down them stairs so many times. And they got like a little turn to them too, so I never fell down all of them, but I fell down a few of them stairs. A friend of mine, Candace, you met Candace.
mm-hmm.
Should put her business out there, but Candace, the bottom of the stairs, it opens up in like a pyramid kind of a shape. So instead of it just coming down, it kind of opens up to two sides and got kind of a spine down the middle. So when you get to the very bottom of the stairs, it kind of becomes this grand stair kind of thing at the bottom. She fell down that joint at the housewarming. Um, it was like so many people there. So like these stairs had all mad victims. The dog would fall down the stairs. Her daughter would fall up the stairs. She never fell on the stairs, so she was cool with whatever was happening there. But no, it was because we had bigger feet than her. She had tiny feet. We had big feet, and the dog apparently, I think dogs got big feet.
A lot of them do.
Yeah, but anyway, this house, I would watch scary movies over there, and then this house, the roof used to have creaking. We slept on the top floor, and whenever there was strong wind, you would hear the roof being pulled up to where you hear the nails kind of coming out of the wood a little bit. You hear like this creaking noise, and it'd be like loud vibrations and rattles. So when we first moved in there, I didn't know what the hell was going on. I just knew I wasn't watching any horror movies until I figured it out. And so it was like I had to go in the attic to make sure it wasn't no up there, nothing like that. Like it was some scary shit when we first moved there, and that's by Army base too. So it's like, nah,
Yeah,
I ain't fucking with this place.
I kind of wish I had told my story first.
Damn it.
Because you beat me. So um, let's see. I've had a couple of different experiences. I guess when I was younger, when I was living at home in North Carolina, I was probably like 12 or 13.
Mm-hmm.
And my parents, like during the summer, my parents would go to work. They would leave me home alone.
Mm-hmm.
So one particular time, nobody was in the house but me. And I can't remember if I was going outside to meet my best friend that her grandparents lived behind my parents. So we would just like walk through our backyards to meet up. I think that's what was happening. But so I cut the TV. I cut everything off in the house. And I was walking down the hallway from my bedroom to head to the kitchen, to head out the door. And I heard like this low growl come from my bedroom.
What?
Yeah. I did not go to check it out. I kindly made my way outside of the house. I called my mom. I told her that I would be at my friend's grandparents' house until she got home. And then I told her I wanted to move. And I didn't sleep in my room for a minute. I either slept in the guest room or the living room for a long time. I was like, no, I want to move. And my mom was like, oh, it's probably the TV. Like, no, everything was off. Something's not right in my room and I don't want to be there. Yeah, but nothing else.
Either way, you weren't watching fucking Nature Channel.
Right.
Like a growl.
Right. Yeah, so that was that. And then later on in life, when me and my ex had moved into an apartment together, we had a dog. And like we were just chilling in bed one morning. The dog was on the floor minding his business. And then we heard this voice say, feed the wolf. And then it was like the dog levitated off the ground and onto the bed. Like it was like something picked him up and dropped him on the bed. And so we're both
so many questions. Hold on. Hold on. You both heard something say feed the wolf.
Yep.
Nah.
So like we're sitting there looking, the dog is looking like, what the fuck was that? Like
all three of y'all heard something say feed the wolf.
All three of us, well, I can't say what the dog heard, but I know
the dog was like, what the fuck is that on his face?
He was looking around when he ended up on the bed like, I wasn't here a second ago. This wasn't my plan. This wasn't my thing. And so I can't remember if that was before or after. So the apartment that we were in, it was a townhouse style apartment. Mm-hmm. And the way it was set up, like you come through the front door, there was like a little linoleum square and then steps that went up. But the dog used to always like to sit on that little linoleum square and play with his toys. So he's playing with the toy and like I'm sitting there watching him play and the toy just kind of like slides across the floor to his foot. Mm-mm. And then he like looks and he like pushes it back.
This the same time?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, different, like the same apartment, different times. And I can't remember.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't remember if the toy sliding was before or after the feed the wolf thing. Oh, okay. But like, so I'm just sitting there looking like, So,
because this story definitely beats my story.
So one of my friends is very into like ghosts and spirits and everything like macabre and all that stuff. So I remember her saying like, you know, if you feel like you have a spirit in your house and you're not sure if it's a good one or a bad one, have a little convo. So like I stood up and I was like, look, you apparently really like this dog. So if you're here to play with the dog, you play with the dog, but I don't ever want to see you or hear you again and don't bring any harm to this house. And everything was cool after that. So I'm like, all right, cool. But
damn.
Yeah, that was
the dog was like, really, nigga?
Like, I don't want to play with this ghost.
The dog was like, damn, sacrificial lamb like shit.
No, but I mean, whatever it was, if there was something, it liked the dog and it liked playing with the dog and the dog was playing with it. So like,
it was. Okay.
Yeah, like the toy would slide across and he'd like push it back over. So I was like, yeah, I don't want to see this again. So when I'm not home and you want to keep the dog company, you go for it. But when I'm in this house, I don't want any hint of a presence of anything.
Crazy as hell. Y'all must have just sound that leaf.
Yeah.
Okay. Like, we gotta go, cuz.
And nothing ever happened in that place until something else had happened. Like one of the cups just like tipped over on its side. Like nobody was touching it, nobody was near it. And it was just almost like somebody just picked it up and laid it on its side and walked away.
Yo, that happened here in the apartment I'm in now. When we first moved here, everything looked perfectly balanced. We even checked the balance on the counters. And
you're walking around with a level.
Your phone. But when we first got here, when I first got here, I had put a cup and that motherfucker just started sliding. And I'm like, what do you mean? And then my roommate was in there too. And she was like, did the cup slide? She was like, I've been trying to tell Isaac that this cup slide, blah, blah, blah. Like that the cup slide when you put him on the counter. He didn't believe me. I was like, yo, that joint slid a good little distance across the counter. I was like, nah. Maybe that's why I don't be in there cooking. I don't fuck with that kitchen.
Yeah, no. Yeah, so that's it for Ghostly Hour, guys. Unless y'all have any stories that you want to share with us in the comment section. Ghosts.
There was something I was going to say about that dog story, but I can't remember it. So we can go
Yeah.
on.
Yeah, I just figured whatever it was really like the dog because I never saw anything and there were never any problems before the dog came into the house.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, that's all right. Okay, so the last thing, I've been binge watching this show called Haven. And the premise of Haven is about this woman, Audrey. She comes into this small town to investigate an escaped convict. And she ends up noticing that there's all these weird supernatural occurrences that are happening in this town. So she ends up staying because, she wants to see what's going on. And she sees this picture of a woman that looks just like her. And she thinks it may be her mother's and she's adopted, like she was an orphan.
Is she a medium?
Nope.
Hmm.
Nope. But what
Just
she ends up finding out is that this town has a history. And
it's
the
on
history,
Netflix.
yep.
Oh.
5 seasons of it. I'm on season 3.
Is it good?
I'm enjoying it because I'm trying to see how this mystery unravels. You might
So don't
have
tell me.
questions.
I will. You know me? Oh shit! I was gonna say with the name Audrey, she's probably brunette. Now I'm looking at the cover. She's definitely brunette.
She's brunette.
Well,
She's
she's
blonde.
blonde.
Yeah,
She looks
she's
blonde.
yeah. So basically, what Audrey finds out is this town experiences these.
Maine, of course, it's Maine. I know some fucked
Right.
up people up there in Maine.
They experience this thing called the Troubles, and what the Troubles is this set period of time where these people have these
I'm watching this.
supernatural abilities. They call it afflictions because nothing good ever comes from these abilities. So, for instance, the one guy in the town, the deputy sheriff, he can't feel anything. He has no sense of touch, which seems like it would be great. But if you get stabbed in the back and you can't feel yourself getting stabbed in the back, you bleed to death.
Yo, someone was talking about that one time. Like they had no sense of pain, and everyone thought it was great. But not having a sense of pain, you basically have to fucking wrap yourself in a bubble because you won't know if you ever cut yourself. He got that from something. They got that on that because I heard
it's
that
a
in a
thing.
book.
It's a condition. It's like a real condition too, I believe, where
Oh,
some
it
people
is a
don't
real
like
condition.
their nerve endings are dead, and so
Yeah,
it's a problem because you don't feel heat. You could burn yourself.
yeah. Actually, it was a book. It was a book that I was listening to that had the same thing. The lady had that issue. That was what the whole fucking book was about. Like she became a cop or something because of it, or she was a therapist or something because of it. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so
Dude don't feel pain.
he doesn't feel pain. There's another person in the town. She can't make eye contact with anybody because if she makes eye contact with them, they immediately see their worst fear.
Huh.
So she's in the grocery store trying to get food and somebody makes eye contact with her and then all of a sudden they see a zombie. Another person sees a rabid dog. Another person sees their dead husband. So,
Damn.
yes, the Troubles. And apparently the trouble is kicked off by some traumatic event. So everything could be going great. And then all of a sudden you see a car accident or somebody scares the shit out of you and your trouble gets triggered. And then you have to live with that affliction until the trouble period is over. But nobody knows how long or short it lasts. So as I was watching, I was sitting thinking, maybe in not such a dark way, because it is a really dark show. It's kind of heavy. I haven't really seen too many.
Out that show.
And it's a continuous story, so you'll like that.
Yep.
But I haven't seen too many happy moments in the show. But as I was sitting and watching it, I was like, what could some humorous troubles be? What would my humorous trouble be?
Humorous. Oh. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, or you can, if you want to go dark, but I I didn't want to go dark for myself. So my trouble would be I don't know, I'd go into a room and sit down and, put my headphones in thinking that I was going to have a nice, quiet, aloof moment to myself. But everybody would want to come up to me and start telling me about their problems, but not not like dark problems, just like the really weird problems. Like, you know, I've got a pimple on my balls and I don't know what to do about it. And then I have to sit there and keep a straight face through it the whole time.
Or you couldn't stop hearing them until you solved their problem, like they were a fucking ghost.
Right. But they're
That
alive.
would be the worst. This is like, this for us, this is like, what's your version of hell?
Right. Kind of. Yeah. Yeah. And so I was thinking, like, for Lou,
Yeah.
his trouble would be like he would have all this money and he'd be able to buy all the name
Only-
brand bougie shit that he loves. But as soon as he touches it, after he buys it, it turns into a knockoff and like a real apparent cheap knockoff. Like,
or that he could only buy those things because he was allergic to the finer things in life.
yes.
Lou's
and
allergic to being bougie.
like he couldn't be a bad bitch anymore.
Right.
And for Ant, like every sexy woman in the world would come on to him, but then like once it came time to like they'd all want to go home with him and he'd get them to the house, and then all of a sudden they'd like grow a schween like and want him to like take it.
Oh no. Or that he can drink as much beer as he wants, but he doesn't get a buzz from it. If Ant couldn't get a buzz, period,
he would be so sad.
He would be sad as hell.
Yeah, I was thinking that he could get all the beer he wanted, or anytime he got a beer, like as soon as the cup touched his lips, it would just turn to water. Like he had like the opposite Jesus effect, like where he would turn all alcohol into water.
Right. I think my trouble would be that, well, that one that we were saying, like you hear everyone until you help them. Mm-hmm. Like, but I like helping people, so that probably wouldn't be that bad. Mine is more so talking. Like, for me, like I don't mind talking in this. Like I don't think either one of us mind talking in this kind of an avenue when it's about a subject and blah blah blah. But like for me, I don't like chit chat. Like so for me, if I had a trouble that people could hear my thoughts and I can hear their thoughts. So like we were forced to chit chat no matter what. Like it'd be like even if I'm being quiet, I can still hear. Well, I hear people anyway, but they still hear me and they respond to me and they have conversations with me. I want to say like my personal time is being raped, but I think that's too far. I think that would be a good trouble for me. Like I can hear people's thoughts and they can hear my thoughts. Like them hearing my thoughts would be the worst thing.
It'd be a problem if people could hear my thoughts.
Right. So like, that would be such an issue.
Right. Like, because we already, when we're in a situation and something is amiss, like we already look at each other be like,
Right.
I think building on that, one for me would be not so much hearing people's thoughts, but anybody who comes in contact with me has to make small talk with me.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to hear, oh my gosh, how about this weather? What do you do? Like over and over again all day. That would definitely make me become a hermit.
Yeah, you wouldn't want to go anywhere, yo. You can't go anywhere. You be on the elevator, I'm hitting the close button the whole way and trying to glue the doors shut until I get wherever I'm going.
Like, look, just deliver my groceries, put those shits outside, knock on the door, and then run away. Do not make contact with me.
And it's not even just small talk. It's just a 30-minute conversation every time. That would be the worst. 30-minute conversation every single time.
Every time, but about nothing. Like, I see the flowers are blooming outside. Do you know the history of the tulip? Like, I don't care.
It can be about the most interesting shit in the world. I don't want to have a 30-minute conversation with every single person I meet.
Corporate living, corporate life. That's basically my life in the office, where I just try to like put my headphones on in the
My troubles
elevator,
would
in
be
the
the
hallways.
unfollow button on Facebook not working for me only. And I would have to be subject. I got like a whole team on unfollow right now. That would be a trouble for me. Not
Oh,
having to follow people on
you know
social
what?
media.
Even worse, like not only is can you not unfollow people on Facebook, but then like all of their statuses and all of the bullshit that they post that made you unfollow them, that shit just pops automatically into your head.
Mm-hmm.
So all day you're just seeing their
Getting
statuses and Instagram
notifications in
pictures
your
and shit
head.
in your head. Oh,
Like, fuck,
oh
I don't
man.
care. Get it? Nah, that would be it for me. I'm sorry. I don't believe in suicide, but yeah.
Oh, that might be my nightmare tonight.
Right? Some story
Oh
about
man.
somebody. Some story of delusions of grandeur just
Mm-hmm.
popping in my head over and over again with a
Oh.
bunch of selfies.
Mm-hmm. Or just like the word like sigh. Oh, I can't believe life is going like this right now.
Right.
And then like you have to see all the comments under it, like, what's wrong? What's the
Oh my
matter? But like they
goodness.
never actually say anything. Oh,
Right.
it's just life. I'm just going through it. Or
Right.
those stupid relationship cliches, like never make someone a priority when you're just their option. Like all of those are just in your head the whole
Oh
time.
my gosh.
Oh man,
I
I've got
I got
goosebumps
like 10 of those I need to unfollow when we get off of this.
on your
No.
to-do list. Ah, yes. Well, I think that's enough.
That's enough. That's enough of this draw too
Yeah,
for tonight.
right. Well, luckily though, there is a draw two card in Uno, so it's
Right.
still that. Even though,
Relatable. Hashtag.
yeah, like T and Keem, like there's no neat acronym like T, Ant, Lou, and Keem is talk. Like for us, it's either KT or TK.
Yeah.
Oh well, okay. Well, everybody, I know this wasn't what you're used to, the usual over talking and loud banter and threats
Giggly.
of
No rape
yes,
jokes.
there's no rape jokes. But I hope that you enjoyed your time with us anyway. All
And
four of
remember
us.
our one-on-one talk, people.
Yes.
Remember
Oh,
our one-on-one talk when Kima disappeared. And it was just me and you. You remember that talk. Because when I see you, it's going to be a problem.
oh, and it might be brown liquor tea, and that really would be a problem. You know what? Subscribe. Save yourself from brown liquor tea.
It's
Yeah.
served out here.
I did. You'll be happy to know, though, T. When I was logging on to start the webcast, I did
Mm-hmm.
see. Now we can see when people subscribe. Like it tells
On a
you who
bell?
subscribed. Yeah, on the bell. Like you get a
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
notification and it tells you who actually subscribed to the channel.
It tells you who?
Yeah, I saw a name.
Oh. I think you
Not
can
gonna.
only see people who want to be seen, though. You can see the number, but it says something about you can see people who want to be seen. Something like that.
Oh,
Like, because
okay.
there's a ridiculously low number of subscribers at the moment, but of them, you can only really see maybe 3/4 of the names of the
Oh,
people on there.
this was the first name I've seen where I just happened to click on it and it said blah 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 has subscribed. Thank you, blah blah blah, for subscribing. Not gonna call you out by name.
You
But
should call them out. Shout outs happens all the time.
uh,
It may encourage.
I will
Yeah,
say
we'll see.
your initials are LD. So thank you, LD, for subscribing.
Good job, LD.
Yeah, since we
You're
like a
awesome.
little bit of anonymity, I also want to give our listeners anonymity, even though T has no problem calling out whole ass government names.
Hmm. I'll call out your Facebook name because I don't know y'all governments.
uh,
My
okay.
king, my son is my king 98.
I
We should go back to Black Planet names. That's probably
never
what's
had
on
a
here. You
yeah, I
never had
never
a
had a
Black
Black
Planet
Planet
account?
account.
Oh man. All
Did
right, that's
I?
another
Maybe I did.
conversation.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we'll cover that on another day. But all right, y'all. Thanks for rocking with us. Don't forget to tell your friends about us.
What's the name of that
him
movie? The name of that show? Haven?
Haven. Yep. Check out Haven if you want to. If you're into your soul dying a little bit every time you watch an episode,
That's
go
my
ahead and
shit.
check it out.
It's like, no.
Like trying to get my soul down to like a pound.
These nationals trying to kill my soul.
Shit. Well, hopefully they do better. I'm about to go make this shrimp tortellini Alfredo. And have a fat ass meal at 10 o'clock. Ugh. Oh well. Yep.
Vacation over.
No, but you know what though? I was looking at a picture of when I went to Philly. In I think that was June or July that we went to Philly, and then a couple of weeks ago, or in the middle of September, when we went to my friend's wedding, and I was like swiping back and forth between the pictures, and I was like, holy shit, I really did lose weight. Like I can't see it myself, but when I'm like looking between the two pictures, I was like, oh, okay, I did make progress. So now I don't want to undo that. So I'm not necessarily starving myself or like, no sugar because I got this 2-piece. Like I won't be wearing a 2-piece anytime soon, but I do want to keep up the momentum so that if I do take a surprise trip somewhere, or at least, next year when we go someplace else, Thought Body 2018 is still in effect. So
I just knock cameras out people's hand. Don't fucking take a picture of me. I'm tired of y'all.
The funny thing is we took so many pictures, like bathing suit pictures, swim trunk pictures, and now we're both looking at them like, nah, this seems like it's going to be a lot of inbox action and I just don't need it in my life. So let's enjoy these memories privately.
Inbox action.
Yeah, well,
DM's
at least for me.
Lit.
Right. All right, guys. Until next time, squad out.